on Ctv3 News. Tragedy strikes in the village of San Felipe as the mother and son perish in home fire. The case is being deemed as arson as it was allegedly committed by the former common-law husband of Angelita Magana. St. Michael's RC School mourned the tragic loss of Deshaun Godoy. Community intervention turns violent during attempted robbery at Moe's Market in Corozal. And a new police station for San Narciso in Corozal. These are some of the stories we have for you tonight in our newscast for Monday, March 2nd, 2025.
Looking for quality, tasty, and easy to prepare meals? Look no farther. M&M Frozen Foods, proudly distributed by United Distributors Limited, brings you a wide range of delicious frozen delights, perfect for every occasion. From frozen pizzas, quesadillas, garlic bread, jumbo samosa, cocktail samosas, pizza pockets, spring rolls, and happy noodles, M&M Frozen Foods is fresh, flavorful, and convenient for busy lifestyles. Whether you're planning a quick dinner, hosting a gathering, or stocking up for the week, M&M Frozen Foods has you covered. Available now at leading supermarkets and stores nationwide through United Distributors Limited. M&M Frozen Foods, extensive variety to satisfy every craving.
Attention farmers! The New World screwworm is a serious threat to livestock, pets, wildlife, and humans. It causes yield losses, damages the quality of meat and skins, and can even kill them if left untreated. Check your animals daily. If you see any wounds on them, treat them immediately. Prevention is key. Apply approved healing and fly repellents to the navel of newborn animals after dehorning, ear tagging, or any other practice that leaves wounds on your animals to ensure your animals' well-being. If you notice worms in unusual wounds, report them immediately. Call Baja at 824-4872 or text or WhatsApp 670-7003 or call your nearest Ministry of Agriculture office. And don't forget, never transport or receive animals with injuries. Together, we will prevent the spread of this dangerous disease. This message was brought to you by Baja, OIRSA, AICA, USDA, and the Ministry of Agriculture, Food Security and Enterprise.
We are the Public Utilities Commission. Since 1999, we have regulated Belize's electricity, water, and telecommunication sectors, ensuring quality services at reasonable rates for consumers. A lot has changed since our establishment in 1999, and so have we. To reflect our evolution and future-focused vision, we are proud to introduce our new identity, where the blend of colors show our balanced and inclusive approach to regulation, where innovation, sustainability, and trust are all equally important. Orange represents the telecommunications sector and symbolizes innovation and connectivity. Green reflects the energy sector, sustainability, and national growth. Blue represents the water sector, highlighting trust, stability, and life-sustaining resources. White symbolizes transparency and accountability, core principles of the PUC. We are the Public Utilities Commission, transitioning to a new look, but our core values remain the same: accountability, excellence, integrity, innovation, and professionalism. Our logo is more than a design. It is our visual commitment to continue to serve the people of Belize with transparency, competence, and professionalism. We are the Public Utilities Commission.
For sure, this journey started long before September 1981. Indeed, we're all here because of the courage of our founders, the Maya, Creole, Garifuna, East Indian, Mestizo, and all who are sustained by the spirit and sacrifice of every generation. How beautiful it is that on this day, thousands of our citizens will join with friends and loved ones at parades and parties across this country to rejoice in the blessings of this land and people. As one people, we will work to build a better and brighter future.
Your government is taking back ownership of our hydro dams and power generation plants, and all shares held in BEL by the foreign-owned Fortis. Belizean assets in the hands of Belizeans. Fully Belizean-owned and managed, with all local employees. Our nation's premier source of clean power generation is now in our hands. Revenues made in Belize will now stay in Belize. Remember, energy security equals economic independence. Your government continues to put Belizeans first.
Good evening. With your news also simulcast on FM 106.7. I am Joanna Rodriguez. It was a scene no one should ever have to witness. The kind of nightmare you'll expect to see in a horror film, not in the quiet village of San Felipe. Flames tore through the darkness, lighting up the night sky as a mother and her two children screamed for help. When the flames died down, the tragedy left behind was almost too painful to comprehend. A young mother and her 6-year-old baby boy dead, her teenage daughter clinging to life in critical condition. What unfolded inside that burning house was not an accident, but instead a deliberate act of violence. A long history of fear and abuse which ended in the most brutal way imaginable for Angelita Angie Magana and her son Tishan Godoy. Norma Ruiz reports.
The quiet village of San Felipe here in Orange Rock District is reeling from heartbreak today after what police believe was a deliberate act of domestic violence that claimed the lives of a young mother and her 6-year-old son in the early hours of this morning. Shortly after 3 a.m., neighbors were jolted awake by screams and the terrifying sight of the Novello family home engulfed in flames. Inside were 35-year-old Angelita Angie Magana, her children, 6-year-old Tishan Godoy, their teenage daughter Shadia Magana, along with her common-law partner Miguel Novello. Novello and Shadia managed to escape the inferno, but tragically, Angie and little Tishan perished in the blaze. Police believe the fire was no accident, but rather the callous final act in a long and painful pattern of abuse. Investigators say 34-year-old Francisco Godoy, Angie's ex-common-law husband, allegedly entered the home under cover of darkness, doused the family in gasoline, and set them on fire. In the process, he was also severely burned and remains under police guard at the KHMH. Novello, still visibly shaken and suffering from various burns, recalled waking shortly before the blaze consumed home. He says he saw flames bursting from the children's room, and then saw Angie's ex-common law husband running from the room, already on fire himself. Moments later, Angelita stumbled out of the inferno, her body engulfed in flames.
Me acaba de acostar. Oí una bullita en el cuarto donde ella estaba durmiendo. Y cuando yo levanté rápido así, miré el fuego adentro del cuarto, ya bien con llama. Entonces yo levanté rápido y salí buscando, como hay un muchacho que trabaja conmigo, él duerme abajo en un pick-up. Y yo lo grité al que me venga a ayudar. Pues en lo que yo salía para la puerta principal, Angie estaba en llamas, salió, pero ella se metió al baño. Al baño se metió ella. Y entonces cuando vino el muchacho, lo ve que yo salí y me paré en el corredor. Ese rato salió Francis, salió, casi atrásito de mí salió, así en llamas también. Y pues no hablé nada, no le dije nada yo a él. Entonces cuando vino el muchacho que trabaja conmigo, en lo que él subió para ayudar a ver qué podíamos hacer, su hija de Angie estaba saliendo así en llamas. Y él lo ayudó a bajarlo de la escalera y apagar el fuego, ¿no? Y de ahí quiso regresar otra vez para ayudarme allá arriba, pero ya no se pudo hacer nada, ya estaba demasiado el fuego.
Ya no pudieron entrar.
Ya no pudimos entrar allá.
Novella's worker, Leon Belgrave, risked his own life to run into the burning home. He managed to save Shadia, but says he will never forget hearing Deshawn's cry for help.
Yo salí, me trepé arriba y no miré a nadie, ni volví a bajar, y cuando volví a trepar, es que la chamaca venía, pues la chamaca estaba bañada en fuego. Quité mi camisa y le pagué el fuego, y lo abracé y lo bajé hasta abajo. Cuando lo bajé abajo, lo senté en el tubo, prendí el tubo y hice la intención para trepar de vuelta. Solo escuchaba que el chamaquito me gritaba, pues no podía entrar dentro del cuarto, porque estaba en llamas, hacía intenciones para meterme, pues el vapor no me dejaba. Yo bajé para abajo de vuelta y le digo al Señor que no puedo, porque el vapor no me deja entrar. Le digo al niño gritar, pues no podía hacer nada. Aunque me duele, pues ya no podía hacer nada.
¿Y la niña que tú pudiste salvar, a dónde estaba ella?
Ella estaba dentro del cuarto. Cuando de repente, mire que salió la chamaca cuando estaba parado en la puerta, pues la chamaca venía prendido en fuego. Solo quité mi camisa y le pagué el fuego. Y lo abracé y lo bajé para abajo y lo senté abajo del tubo. Todavía cuando yo agarré la chamaca, todavía los pedazos de pellejo me quedaban en mi mano, pelo.
¿Y no te dio miedo para tu seguridad, para meterte?
No. Yo dije, pues lo que pase, pues yo voy a hacer la lucha de ayudarlos.
Witnesses say the fire spread with terrifying speed. Neighbor Ramiro Gonzalez recalls waking up to see the home already in flames, seeing the alleged attacker, Godoy, leap from the second floor, his body also on fire as he tried to flee.
¿Cómo le llaman? Yo como a las 2:30, 2:30 de la mañana salí y miré una luz y entonces miré que se estaba quemando la casa del vecino y ya pues atrás de su casa del vecino miré que sale una bola de fuego así y corrió unos cuantos metros y se apagó, creo. Cayó ya, estaba debilitado y ya se arrastró un poco. Algunos tiradores que venían a las 3 de la mañana lograron ver, pues, creo que la persona que se estaba agarrando fuego, pero ya no tenía fuego, ya solo era humo de la ropa. Lograron mirar la persona que estaba quemando, si era la persona supuestamente que le había echado fuego a la casa. Salió de atrás y corriendo con fuego y la cosa es que en vuelta de segundos que salí yo, ya que puse mi pantalón, ya la casa ya había agarrado más fuego.
As the family and entire community grieve the tragic loss, the details emerging are deeply disturbing. Novello says he had begun dating Angelita only 2 months ago, but in that short time, he saw how terrified she was of her ex-partner. Godoy, he says, had just been released from prison after serving 6 months for breaching a restraining order.
Can you ask how long he and Angie were together? ¿Cuánto tiempo estaban ustedes ya juntos?
Nosotros teníamos más o menos como 2 meses que empezamos a andar, pero yo le pagaba la renta a ella donde ella rentaba. Cuando yo decidimos que nos vamos a acompañar, nomás el viernes yo pasé sus cosas de ella allá en mi casa. Y yo el viernes no quedé con ella, sino que solo sábado dormí con ella allí. Y ella siempre no me quemó a mí, porque pues casualidad lo que pasó, ¿no? Porque ella iba a adormecer su niño en su cuarto de ellos, de su hija y de él, y de ella cruzaba mi cuarto. Entonces anoche ella me dijo que va a adormecer al niño, y después iba a ir conmigo allá en el cuarto. Ya no pasó porque pues creo que se durmió y pues tampoco yo fui a molestarla, ¿no? Cuando yo pasó eso que...
In the past week alone, Angie and Novello had gone to the police station twice after Godoy allegedly broke into her home and issued threats. They had planned to file another restraining order on Monday, just hours before the fire.
El problema, él tiene una cuestión de RIP con ella que no ha terminado, y tenía otro que él acaba de salir la semana pasada, nomás salió donde tenía un restriction. Es lo que pasó.
¿Y ella que ya había puesto reporte de él?
Venimos 2 veces aquí. El primer día que venimos llegamos un poquito tarde, a las 5 de la tarde, ya no la atendieron a ella. Y venimos al otro día, como a las 2 para las 3. Y de ahí el muchacho García le dijo que espera a las 5 y que él lo va a ayudar a hacer todo el papel y que él lo va a arreglar para ella, ¿no? Entonces ella agarró y junto conmigo, ella, ahí en el pick-up, ella hizo su statement y quedamos que hoy íbamos a venir a entregarlo.
Ella temía por su seguridad.
Sí, temía porque él ya había entrado como 2 días antes de hoy, de hoy. Él ya había entrado en su casa de ella, así por arriba. Y le tapó su boca y le dijo que regresara con él, pero ella le dijo que no puede, pues ya vio que no, es imposible hacer la vida con él. Entonces le preguntó que si ella tiene alguna, con alguien, ¿no? Con quién va a convivir. Y ella le dijo que sí. Y ella dijo que va a matar a los 2, dijo.
¿Ya lo habían reportado ustedes?
No, ese papel es el que ella escribió acá conmigo en el pick-up para traer hoy. Ajá. Sí.
¿Piensa usted que si se iba a poder hacer algo, no sé, podría evitar algo así?
Pues, como me contaba ella, que él era una persona muy violento. Sí, él decía que si no es de él, de nadie más. Es lo que le decía a ella.
Up to news time, it had been confirmed that young Shadia was in a coma at the KHMH with over 90% of her body with 3rd-degree burns. Reporting for Ctv3 News, Norma Ruiz.
A profound sense of sorrow has engulfed San Felipe village following the tragic incident that claimed the lives of 35-year-old Angelita Angie Magana and her 6-year-old son, Tishan Godoy. The devastating news had struck a chord within the community, especially affecting the staff and students of St. Michael's RC School, where Angie was a well-loved member of the team. Angie had been an integral part of the school community for nearly 3 years, serving diligently as a school warden. She was a familiar and friendly figure, always greeting students with kindness and warmth each morning. Her young son, Tishan, was a lively and curious child, full of energy and potential, an innocent life tragically cut short. Today, the atmosphere at St. Michael's was heavy with grief and mourning. The school had set up a simple but heartfelt tribute at Angie's usual seat, where her chair is draped with the vest she wore daily surrounded by flowers, candles, and handwritten notes of love and remembrance. This poignant display reflects the deep sorrow felt by the entire school community.
The entire school atmosphere just feels different, just sad, terrible news.
Principal Dale Kyle expresses condolences, remembering Angie as a dedicated woman who worked tirelessly to support her children and the school.
There's a lot to say about her. She's this woman that would fight for every single thing that she can do for her child. She would be doing things to sell, working for our school. She has been employed here in our school for the past 2 years. This would have been her third year. It's basically a voluntary work from a parent, we can say, because it's not really like we have a pay for her. For say, parents contribute for her pay. That's how we handle the school helper here in school. We don't fall under the government's pay. So basically, she does it for the love of the school, to be trying to help. So that speaks a lot about her attitude and character. Every day she will be welcoming children there by the gate with a smile. And anybody who would forget, children would forget their posters or something, she would be the one to receive it there, take it to the children over to the classroom, bringing up ideas how we can improve the area that she would be taking care of. Just a very a lady that would be there trying to help everybody.
Tishan, much like his mother, was cherished by teachers and classmates alike. In response to the tragedy, the school has begun providing emotional support to Tishan's peers who are struggling to process the loss of their young friend and classmate.
Our infant 2 student, Tishan, her son, lively child, very full of spirit, happy child, running up and down like every other child. I don't know what else to say. It's just really, really sad to see such a young life and end in this very terrible manner.
How are his classmates taking it?
Well, the children, we are allowing them to speak to the teacher. They're speaking, they're asking questions. They have, things to express along with the class teacher. And so basically we're listening to them and having our school engage in prayers this morning. And so each class had, they took their turn there also to write little notes and try to say their last goodbyes to Tisha. So.
As San Felipe continues to grieve, this heartbreaking incident serves as a stark reminder of the devastating impact domestic violence can have, not only on individual families, but on entire communities which are left to pick up the pieces in its wake. Speaking on the fatal force in San Felipe, police today confirmed that the suspected arsonist and alleged murderer recently released from prison had a long history of conflict with his former common-law wife. Assistant Superintendent of Police Stacy Smith revealed that the victim, Angelita Angie Magana, had been preparing a filed restraining order against him. That process was scheduled to take form today, which would have likely resulted in his return to prison as he was out on high court bail at the time.
Mr. Godoy has been charged before in relation to an offense against Ms. Magana, namely harm, and he was convicted. As a matter of fact, it was just last week, Thursday, I've been advised that he was released, having pled guilty to the harm against Ms. Magana. I've also been advised that Ms. Magana sought to obtain a restraining order on Friday. However, due to the time that she reached the courthouse, this was not able to have been facilitated.
Yeah, okay, so he just came out of prison. harassing her or she feels a threat, she goes to a restraining order. Just time-wise, it's impossible. And then on Monday morning, and essentially I just moved into that house as well 4 days earlier. So he had been looking for her, and then on Monday morning early, he sets them on fire. Explain to me from a policing standpoint, was there anything that the police could have done? He already had a violent crime against her, and he was threatening her, etc. I understand you all cannot be personal security guards at people's home, but was there anything the police could have done to prevent this?
I am not aware if Ms. Magana would have made a report to the police in relation to the fears that she had. And if that is the case, then certainly the police would have been able to detain him pursuant to threats, if any, and it disclosed a criminal offense. But situations such as these, it appears to be, it certainly is most unfortunate. I believe it just happened that a very narrow window would have made itself available for Mr. Godoy in this instance, because he would have been on bail, and generally speaking, I am sure attempts may have been made to revoke his bail for a matter pertaining to same Miss Magana. However, it's that tiny window that unfortunately allowed for somebody who has disclosed and displayed a level of violence against Miss Magana, and it's most regrettable that, you know, it culminated in this fashion.
Authorities say this tragic incident underscores the ongoing risk faced by victims of domestic violence, particularly in cases involving repeat offenders. Police continue their investigation. Godoy tonight remains under police surveillance at the KHMH.
Well, certainly in a situation where there exists a level of fear from a woman in such a situation, the prudent thing would be to report it to the station, and intervention will be done by the part of the police officers. In this scenario, I think what would have been the ideal situation at hand was for a revocation of his high court bail. I think the only reason why there may have been a gap that allowed him to be on the street, and as you would see, it's a very narrow window, is because at the time that he went to court on Thursday, he was remanded from April up until that recent time. So I don't believe that steps would have been made to have his high court bail revoked, given that he was already remanded because of another incident. So it just so happened, and unfortunately so, that the situation at hand created a window for him, and he took advantage of it.
Okay, and then on the final thing for this. So as far as you all know, she made no complaint that he had been harassing her in the village.
I have not been advised of such, and as I stated before, though the investigation so far has pointed in certain way, and Mr. Godoy is listed as a person of interest in relation to this matter, it is still an ongoing investigation.
The Ministry of Human Development, Family Support and Gender Affairs, the Office of the Special Envoy for the Development of Families and Children, and the National Women's Commission have issued a joint statement expressing profound sorrow and outrage over the recent tragic deaths of Angelita Angie Magana and her 6-year-old son, Tishan Godoy, in San Felipe Village. Preliminary investigation suggests that this devastating incident was a deliberate act of domestic violence, marking it as a heartbreaking cause of femicide. This horrific event serves as a stark reminder of the persistent and devastating impact of gender-based violence in Belize. Femicide, the most extreme form of violence against women, must be recognized, condemned, and addressed with urgency. Violence within homes and communities can no longer be accepted or ignored. Every woman and child has the right to live in safety, dignity, and peace, says the joint release. As key national bodies dedicated to advancing gender equality and protecting families, these organizations reaffirm their commitment of taking decisive action. Efforts are underway to strengthen Belize's legislative and institutional frameworks to better prevent and respond to gender-based violence. Advocacy for the formal recognition of femicide in Belizean law continues, emphasizing the importance of legal measures that reflect the gravity of this crime. Ending violence against women and children requires a collective effort beyond government initiatives. The bodies call on community leaders, village councilors, educators, youth organizations, civil society, and faith-based groups to join in building a culture of zero tolerance for violence. Change begins with raising awareness, ensuring accountability, and fostering the courage to speak out and intervene when needed. Through collaboration with local NGOs, shelters, and advocacy groups, Belize is working to expand access to vital services, strengthen community networks, and promote education and prevention at every level. The goal is clear: ensure that no more lives are lost to violence and that survivors receive the protection and support they deserve. The organizations also urge anyone affected by domestic violence to seek help. A botched robbery at Moe's Market took a violent turn on Sunday night when local residents intervened before law enforcement arrived. Sources indicate that the man entered the store with the intent to commit a theft but quickly subdued by nearby community members. By the time police officers arrived on the scene, the suspect had already sustained injuries resulting from the altercation. Photographs captured at the scene depict the suspect lying on the ground, visibly hurt, as officers proceed with his arrest. The individual, identified as Ryan Delgado, was subsequently transported to a medical facility for treatment before being taken into custody.
On Sunday, 19 October at approximately 6:40 p.m., police responded to reports of an attempted robbery at a Chinese establishment located in Corozal, namely Moe's Supermarket. Police, as a consequence of their investigation, has detained one Ryan Delgado, 29 years of age, and have recovered a khaki in color Crossman brand air pistol, which is at this time deposited as exhibit.
So he tried to do an armed robbery and he was foiled, thwarted. Do you know the circumstances of it? Did he actually use a weapon and try to hold up the store?
What the ongoing investigation has disclosed is that yes, he did in fact make attempts, and his attempt was foiled as a consequence of actions taken by other merchants of the store.
Okay. There are reports that he was beaten, which, you know, everybody supports. But I'm just saying, when the police took him in, he had a number of injuries?
Yes.
And that was presumably by the property owners who were on the attack?
That is for him to disclose, and certainly if a statement has been made and the evidence suggests that what was done for him was not in line with the law, then police would certainly take the necessary course of action.
Authorities are probing a deadly road accident involving an 18-year-old student from Sand Creek District. The incident occurred at approximately 5:20 p.m. on Thursday at the busy intersection of St. Jude and St. Matthew Street in the San Martin neighborhood of Belmopan. According to police reports, a collision took place between a Westline bus and a Skygo motorcycle, which was carrying two young students, Johnny Cano and Jamin Pat, both age 18. The impact caused both teens to be ejected from the motorcycle. Emergency services responded promptly, transporting Kano and Pat to Western Regional Hospital for medical attention. Sadly, Kano succumbed to his injuries, while Pat is currently in a stable condition. Assistant Superintendent of Police Stacy Smith stated that no alcohol tests have been conducted at this stage. She also mentioned that authorities have obtained video footage of the crash, which is expected to be instrumental in the ongoing investigation.
What the investigation has disclosed so far is that the bus was traveling on St. Matthew Street in the San Martin area from a north to west direction when, upon reaching the intersection of St. Jude and St. Matthew Street, a collision occurred between the bus and a Skygo brand motorcycle, which was coming from a west to south direction on St. Jude Street. The cycle was driven at the time by Johnny Kano, 18 years of age, and he was accompanied by Hamin Pat, 18 years of age, both of whom are students. As a consequence of the collision, both Pat and Kano were flung from the cycle and received varying degrees of injuries. Both individuals were ferried to the hospital. However, Kano has since succumbed to the injuries that he sustained, while Pat is listed in a stable condition. The driver of the bus, Jonathan Estrada, has since been served with a notice of intended prosecution in relation to this ongoing investigation.
Whenever there's an accident, especially a head-on, do we know if alcohol was a factor? Has any alcohol testing been done?
No alcohol testing has been done. We have actually recovered a video footage of the incident, which we believe will help us in this investigation.
The investigation remains active as police continue to gather evidence and seek to determine the precise circumstances surrounding this tragic event. Coming up next, new police station breaks ground in San Narciso Village. Stay tuned.
Vacancy. 2 vacancies exist at Sugar City Medical Center. Nurse, full-time. Requirements: ability to manage patients pre- and post-surgery, at least 2 years of experience and bilingual. Pharmacist, full-time. Requirements: experience in a hospital ward setting, at least 1 year of experience and bilingual. If you are interested in joining our amazing team, send CV, recommendation letter, police record, and current license to sugarcitymedicalcenter@gmail.com. Deadline for applications October 31st, 2025.
Hoy te vamos a contar un cuento basado en una historia real. Chao Dengue. Capítulo 1. Síntomas del dengue. Había una vez una familia que, sin saberlo, llevaba consigo un visitante no deseado. No era un monstruo ni un fantasma, pero sí algo que podía debilitar su cuerpo y robarle la energía. Pronto llegaron la fiebre, acompañada de dolor de cabeza, principalmente detrás de los ojos, dolor de cuerpo, náuseas y un sarpullido que se enrojecía por su piel. ¿Qué debían hacer en ese momento? Lo primero era no caer en la automedicación. En la mente del padre resonaban las palabras de los expertos. La clave está en buscar ayuda temprana. Así que, sin dudarlo, se dirigió a la unidad de salud más cercana, donde le brindaron la atención necesaria. Pero la historia no termina ahí. Si alguien en su familia también enfrentaba la misma situación, era enviado a su hogar con una lista de recomendaciones para ser cuidado allí. El reposo se convertía en su mejor escudo y la hidratación en su arma más poderosa. Abundante líquido y, sobre todo, sales de rehidratación oral serían sus aliados en la recuperación. La familia aprendió que la acción temprana podía marcar la diferencia para que esta historia tenga un final feliz. Y colorín colorado, la salud hay que cuidarla en todos lados.
Designs for Belize's new banknotes have been revealed. But why are only 2 national figures featured on the banknotes? The individuals honored on our new banknotes have received Belize's highest distinction, the Order of the National Hero. As of January 2025, only 2 persons have been awarded this title. The Right Honorable George Cable Price, regarded as the father of the nation, who was the first Prime Minister of Belize and renowned leader in our road to independence, and the Honorable Philip Stanley Wilberforce Golson, one of the longest-serving members of the House of Representatives, known for his unwavering stance on protecting and preserving Belize. By featuring these heroes, we honor their invaluable contributions to the development of our nation. New look, same value, Heroes Legacy. Learn more at www.centralbank.org.bz. A message from the Central Bank of Belize.
Introducing Manna Flour, the heart of every wholesome recipe. Manna Flour brings perfection, taste, and nutrition straight to your kitchen. Available in 2, 3, and 5-pound bags for everyday cooking, and 20, 50, and 100-pound sacks for bakeries, restaurants, and big family events. Whether you're making tortillas, dumplings, or your grandma's secret bread recipe, Manna Flour rises to the occasion. Pure, organic, Caribbean. Make it with Manna. Proudly produced by Caribbean Organic Foodstuff Company Limited.
It is a pleasure really for me to join you here today in an important milestone in Belize's journey towards sustainable transportation, where we officially hand over these 3 intercity buses to the management contract awardee, the Westline Bus Company.
This project is directly aligned with Belize's raised ambition under its updated nationally determined contribution to the UN and its low-emission development strategy. And we are very happy to support these national commitments and ensuring that Belize can meet its targets for climate action and for sustainable development as a whole, while modernizing its transport sector.
I'm happy that Westline was chosen as the first private partner of the government of Belize. We worked very hard in putting this project together. We think that it is about time that the transport industry in Belize improves.
We here, all of us, can share in the vision of one day in Belize very soon, in the next few years. We do not have to be subjected to a mediocre, substandard bus service for our people. One of the messages we want to take from here today is that when we work together, when we're not afraid to imagine and see that if we work together, we can turn these things into reality.
Is your internet struggling to reach every corner of your home? Say goodbye to dead zones. Introducing Villo, your ultimate solution for seamless internet coverage. Whether you're streaming, gaming, working from home, or scrolling through social media, Villo delivers a fast, reliable Wi-Fi where you need it most. As a valued Centaur internet customer, you can be one of the first to access Villo free of cost. For more information, call 380-0101.
The Belize Police Department and the Ministry of Transport have been cracking down on traffic violations through increased enforcement, new training programs, and stricter penalties. But even as patrols and checkpoints are intensified, the number of road traffic accidents and infractions increase. This means there is room for improved skills and knowledge of traffic laws. According to Assistant Superintendent Stacy Smith, that is exactly what the Police Department and the Ministry of Transport is aiming for.
The Police Department has been conducting operations consistently for this year alone. A total of 1,846 arrests have been made for traffic offenses and traffic violations, which include a myriad of offenses. 160 of those are in relation to persons who are arrested under the suspicion of driving under the influence of alcohol. So there has been extensive operation and enforcement approach by the department. Currently, about 40 or so police officers and transport officers are engaged in a training with a view to see how the enforcement can be ramped up. And I do know that discussions are being had and steps are being made to amend the legislation, because certainly it would want to appear that the legislation as it stands now does not serve the deterrence purpose, since many persons continue to violate the law. I believe some of the legislations that we will be seeing would include the increase of penalty, the implementation of new offenses, and maybe even criminal sentences, because traditionally the traffic area is one that is known to be just fine. But apparently it would want to appear that there is a need to move to a more stringent legislative provisions.
A significant step towards citizen security was taken today with the signing of a contract for the construction of a new police station in the village of San Narciso in the Corozal district. The agreement was formalized between the Ministry of Economic Transformation and representatives from LV & Sons Construction Limited. The signing ceremony was witnessed by the Honorable Karim Musa, Minister overseeing the Belize Police Department, and the Honorable Ramiro Ramirez, whose constituency will benefit directly from the new facility. This project is a key component of the Belize Integral Security Program, BISP, a comprehensive initiative aimed at strengthening the safety and security of Belizean citizens. With a total budget of $60 million Belize dollars, the program is funded by the Central American Bank for Economic Integration and seeks to bolster the capacity of the Belize Police Department to effectively combat crime and ensure public safety.
We are extremely excited to be here this afternoon at the Ministry of Economic Transformation to sign off on another brand new police station. This one is going to be in the north of our country in the village of San Narciso, and will be servicing approximately 8 surrounding villages in the Corozal district. And this is in keeping with our pledge, our Plan Belize pledge, to make workspaces for our police officers more comfortable, and also to provide a very nice setting for our law-abiding citizens to go into the police station when they're giving reports, and so modernizing our police departments countrywide. That has been one of our pledges, and we will be honoring that today. And later on this year, we will also be signing off on the Keycocker police station as well as the Santa Elena police station. So that makes a total of 4 brand new modern police stations for the country of Belize in 2025, with more to come in 2026.
Once completed, the police station will serve 13 villages and approximately 40,000 residents, significantly improving law enforcement presence and response capabilities in the region. The construction of the facility underscores Belize's commitment to advancing its security infrastructure and fostering safer communities for all citizens.
What will benefit in my constituency? Automatically, we're 8 villages plus Estrella, and we can include part of Corozal Southeast and Corozal North. For example, San Pedro Village and Cristo Rey. On the other side, Corozal Southeast, we can include San Joaquin. So the service that this police station will give is more than 40,000 people that will benefit. We are not saying that we from the north are bad boys. What we're saying is the opportunity or the facility that we're going to have, having good security. And let us hope we get good policemen to work with us, to work with the community. And that is very important to all of us, and especially to me as the area rep.
The new police station is projected to cost approximately $928,509.49 and will span over 3,000 square feet of dedicated workspace. Designed with modern amenities, the facility will include specialized areas such as domestic violence unit, a secure evidence room, private interview rooms, a crime investigation room, and a conference area. It will also provide accommodation for police personnel stationed at the site, ensuring adequate staffing and operational efficiency. In a significant move towards strengthening cooperation on migration and asylum policies, the government of Belize and the United States have officially signed a bilateral Safe Third Country Agreement. The ceremony took place today in Belmopan, marking a notable development in both nations' effort to manage protection requests while upholding international humanitarian standards. The signing was attended by Belize's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Trade, Culture and Immigration, Francis Fonseca, who represented the Belizean government, and Ms. Catherine Beamer, Charge d'Affaires of the U.S. Embassy in Belize, representing the United States. The agreement is rooted in commitments under the 1951 UN Convention on the Status of Refugees. It underscores Belize's dedication to international humanitarian principles while balancing the need to safeguard its national sovereignty and security. Under the term of the pact, Belize retains full authority to approve or reject any transfer request, including specific restrictions based on nationality, caps on the number of transferees, and comprehensive security screenings. Importantly, no individual considered a threat to public safety or national security will be permitted entry under the agreement.
The agreement we are finalizing with the United States is such a framework for cooperation. It rests firmly on our international legal obligations. Under this agreement, asylum seekers in the United States could be transferred to Belize for the determination of their claim. The agreement we are finalizing contains multiple safeguards to protect the interests and security of Belize, including an unqualified veto over who is transferred to Belize, restrictions on the nationalities that could be transferred, a cap on the total transferees per annum, consideration of criminal records and professional skills, The agreement is for 2 years in the first instance, and either party can terminate or suspend at any time by providing written notice. Government insisted on these safeguards. We felt that they were necessary given capacity constraints to manage and support asylum seekers, given national security considerations and the unique characteristics of our small country. The agreement also provides, upon request, financial and technical support to strengthen the institutional capacities of the government of Belize. We are satisfied that the agreement aligns with our international obligations and can be effectively implemented from an operational point of view. Adjustments will be required to relevant legislation. What I can say further is that the agreement cannot come into force until and unless domestic legal procedures have been complied with, which means, Mr. Speaker, in accordance with Section 61A2 of the Constitution of Belize, the agreement, once entered into, will have to be ratified by the Senate.
The United States has also committed to supporting Belize through financial and technical assistance aimed at strengthening the country's migration and asylum management systems. This support is intended to enhance Belize's capacity to handle protection requests efficiently and securely. The agreement will come into effect only after ratification by Belize's Senate and the establishment of operational procedures to ensure full compliance with both Belize's constitutional and international obligations. Initially, it will be valid for a period of 2 years with the possibility of renewal or termination by their party thereafter. Officials from both nations expressed optimism about the agreement, emphasizing that it reflects Belize's ongoing commitment to global cooperation, humanitarian values, and responsible migration management. They highlighted that the arrangement aims to balance effective border control with the protection of vulnerable individuals seeking asylum. As Belize continues to navigate complex regional migration issues, the Safe Third Country Agreement represents a strategic step forward in fostering collaborative solutions grounded in international law and mutual respect. The Cabinet of Belize has announced several significant decisions aimed at advancing the country's economic development, energy sustainability, and intellectual property framework. In a move to strengthen Belize's energy infrastructure, the Cabinet has endorsed an agreement between the Government of Belize and the Fortis Inc., a Canadian energy company. The government will seek parliamentary approval through a bill to acquire 3 hydropower plants operated by Fortis Belize, as well as its 33.3% stake in Belize Electricity Limited, BEL. Prime Minister John Bresenio stated that this strategic move will enhance local energy capacity and promote renewable energy sources. Recognizing the importance of international trade relations, Cabinet noted the upcoming 4th Trade Policy Review, TRP, in the World Trade Organization, WTO, scheduled for May 2026. To bolster the sugar industry and renewable energy initiatives, Cabinet approved the extension of tax exemptions for Belize Sugar Industries Limited, BSI, and Belize Cogeneration Energy Limited, Belcogen, under the Sugar Industry and Cogeneration Project Act of 2012. Additionally, the government is advancing negotiations on a Safe Third Country Agreement with the United States aimed at strengthening border and immigration securities. In an effort to improve educational infrastructure, Cabinet approved funding for the electrification of primary schools in San Carlos and Indian Church villages in the Orange Walk district. Furthermore, Belize has acceded to 5 key copyright treaties overseen by the World Intellectual Property Organization, including treaties on performers' rights, audiovisual performances, and access for persons with disabilities. The government has also initiated a review of domestic copyright laws to align with these international obligations. Amendments to the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act were approved to clarify licensing provisions for motorcycle and vehicle repair dealers, ensuring fairness and enforceability. Additionally, Belize will host a regional intellectual property workshop in March 2026 aimed at promoting international IP treaties and strengthening regional frameworks within the CARIFORUM EU and UK economic partnership agreements. In a bid to encourage environmentally friendly transportation, the government approved a reduction in import duties on electric vehicles, EVs, and hybrid electric vehicles, HEVs, to 10%, incentivizing citizens to adopt cleaner energy options. And there is more news after the break. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Design Depot, where you'll find premium quality products from trusted brands, all in one place. Visit us today for quality products, expert service, and the brands you trust. Design Depot, all in one place.
Oh man, one more scroll and my data is done.
Wait, who said anything about running out? Smart just dropped a more powerful plan that now includes social media data, so you can scroll till your fingers cramp. Enjoy free social media data now included in our Flex Choice and Select postpaid plans. Visit any Smart showroom to sign up today because connectivity just got even better. Smart, bringing people together.
35 officers from the Department of Transport enforcement teams across the country are currently participating in an intensive 3-week training program focused on improving traffic enforcement and road safety. The training, held through a partnership between the Ministry of Transportation and the Belize Police Department, BPD, aims to strengthen officers' knowledge of national traffic laws as well as enhance their skills in enforcement strategies and operational tactics. Participants are being housed at the BPD's National Police Training Academy, where they will receive both classroom instruction and practical field training over the course of the program. According to the organizers, once this cohort completes its training, the program will be expanded to include 2 additional groups of officers, ensuring that enforcement capacity is strengthened nationwide. The Ministry of Economic Transformation met the Ministry of Rural Transformation, Community Development, Labor and Local Government, MRT, and the Protected Area Conservation Trust, PACT, are proud to announce the approval of a groundbreaking project aimed at strengthening water security and climate resilience across vulnerable rural areas. The project, titled Securing Water Resources Through Solar Energy and Innovative Adaptive Management, SEAM, was among 18 new initiatives approved at the 45th board meeting of the Adaptation Fund held in Bonn, Germany. The SEAM project represents a major milestone in Belize's ongoing efforts to adapt to the impacts of climate change and improve access to sustainable water systems. Financed through the Adaptation Fund's large innovation funding window, the project is allocated $10 million Belize and will focus on communities in the Toledo and Corozal districts, including Boom Creek, Dolores, and Otasho in Toledo, and Copper Bank in Corozal. Over the course of 5 years, the initiative aims to directly benefit more than 1,800 residents by providing reliable and safe water access. Key components of the SEAM project include the design and construction of solar-powered hybrid water systems that will deliver sustainable water supplies to households. Additionally, the project emphasizes ecosystem restoration and livelihood diversification, particularly empowering women through reforestation, watershed rehabilitation, and agroforestry initiatives. Strengthening local governance and capacity building will also be central to fostering effective water management and ensuring community participation. Implementation is set to commence following the signing of the grant agreement anticipated in early 2026. Once operational, the SEAM project is expected to serve as a model for integrated climate adaptation strategies with potential for scaling to other rural areas across Belize. This initiative is the third program supported by the Adaptation Fund to bolster Belize's climate resilience, underscoring the country's strong partnership with international climate finance mechanisms. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Tuesday, October 21st here on Ctv3 News and Fiesta FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at ctv3belizenews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com/ctv3belizenews or our YouTube channel at Ctv3 News VZ. From all of us here at Ctv3, thank you for watching and listening. Good night.